Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a filler video because we're kind of in between major projects and I don't have anything super interesting to film, but I need to do something because otherwise YouTube won't recommend my videos, and I mean, people may not watch them even if they are recommended, but we're not going to give YouTube any help to screw me over, all right? We're going to do a video and it's going to be as good as I can make it, but it's filler. So, and this is the third attempt at making it, so that should tell you a lot. But it's a nice day, and we could screw up all we want, right? All right. So, Old Man Winter has paid us an extended visit this year, and it was kind of annoying because usually by February it's 90 degrees, and then we get like one more bout of 45-degree weather in April, and then we're done. But Old Man Winter actually stuck around, and so it's almost the middle of March now. Today's the 9th, I think. It's right after the time change. So, fun. But the winter weather really slowed stuff down because it's hard to work on equipment when oil doesn't flow, when grease doesn't want to move, when you have to wait for stuff to warm up, and it's just hard to get things off because your feet get numb from standing and your hands get numb from touching everything that's cold. And we're not, look, we have the shop that we can use stuff for, yes, but we're still not set up to where we can pull something in and tear it down no matter what the weather is. We're getting there. Baby steps, right? So in the meantime, I did a whole bunch of little projects off camera over the winter. Nothing really important. That's why there haven't been many videos. So now that we're in March and it's springtime, even though it's technically still winter, it's springtime enough as far as I'm concerned, and it's time to get going on some things. And of course, there's always something to get going on. So we'll start with today's project. We're just going to go around and do all sorts of little stuff because remember, it's a filler video. The cat's dirty. That's why he's following me around. He wants in, but he's dirty and nobody's going to clean him. So I guess I'll have to do it. Anyway, this is today's project. This is a gate. It will be a gate, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a separate video on this for all the details because this is a pretty serious project. I'm going to try and film. It involves a lot of work from yours truly. But Dad and I got these posts cut, or pieces of pipe cut. It's 2 3/8, I think. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to say it's 2 3/8. And we got it all cut. We figured out that the reason our chop saws weren't working is because the Forney here does not put out the appropriate power at the outlet. And you might say, well, don't you have other outlets in the shop? Well, yes, they're all along this wall right through here, and they have even less power output than this. You trip the breaker constantly if you try and run even a grinder off these. It won't do it anymore. It just trips the breaker. And the Forney here, which is 70 years old, it still welds fine, but the outlet does not do very good. So it's enough to run a grinder. It's enough to run like a hammer drill and stuff, but when you go to put a 5.5 horsepower chop saw on it, it stalls out. It's not funny. So we dragged this over to the house and plugged it into the outdoor outlet, not the inside outlet, just so we're all clear. We're not that big of hillbillies, okay? And we were able to cut these pieces of pipe at 45 degrees. Once Dad figured out where the 45-degree mark was supposed to be lined up on the saw, because the first two pieces he cut, or the first two cuts he made, were at like 55 degrees, and stuff wasn't going together. So once we got that figured out, yeah, cut real nice, cut them quick, cut them clean, cut them good. We got all this set up, welded together. The plan is to torch holes in these I-beams that we picked up last December, and we'll slide them on, and there will be like one here and 3 in the middle and then 1 on the end, and it'll all be welded solid. And that third joint of pipe will also be cut to length. So there'll be 3 runs of pipe with I-beam uprights, and then we'll put cattle panels over it. And we'll got posts that we're going to make, and they're going to be cemented in, and then the whole fence line there is going to be changed, and it's going to be a whole thing. I think it would be good to do a separate video on that. But this is today's project. We got a good start on it. We got that hoist put up there. That's an old Harbor Freight hoist. It used to sit right there where that clevis is, and there used to be a motor tied to it, which just sat right in the entrance to the shop, and it's gone now. I took it out to the Balin building years ago. It's gone now. But yeah, it sat there for years. So there was no shortage of things to clean in the shop for just the longest time. Cars, engines, gearboxes, all sorts of cool stuff. But now that we have a shop to work in, yeah, we can start on this. This gate and the associated fence rebuild is a very big project that we've been excited to get to for years, and stuff has finally fallen into place where we can do it. We have the extra pipe. We have a space to build it. We have a skid steer that will hang it when we're done. Because if you think Dad and I are going to pick this up, you're dead wrong. Yeah, so good times there. That's going to be some work. The trailer there is ready. We're going to hook it behind the old Ford, and then we're going to go at some point, maybe this next week, hopefully, and pick up the truck. And there will be a walk around of the truck when we get it back here. It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. I'm going to love it. So some other little things I've been up to. I moved all the waste oil into the shuttle because we've got a combine and 2 tractors that need oil changes and stuff, and we need more waste oil storage. When I go to treat the corral posts at the other place, I'll use a lot of waste oil then. And you might be asking, what the heck are you talking about? So, all right, I'll do this. It's a filler video, whatever. Get over it. It's low effort, okay? I'm going to try and do it, and this will be the final take because my voice is getting tired. This gate, the fence redo, it involves telephone poles. I call them telephone poles. They're power poles, all right? The electric company, there's 2 of them. Their territories kind of border around where we live. The one that we get our power from was replacing a bunch of poles a few years ago. And Dad talked to one of the linemen who's kind of in charge of everybody. And he was like, hey, all those poles that you're not going to use, that you can't reuse, pile them up here because the place where they're piled is pretty central to where they were replacing everything. And Dad said, well, just haul them over here and dump them off. And the guy was like, okay, well, how many do you want? And Dad said, just every one that you don't want, haul it here and dump it off. We'll take everything you got. So the corral at the other place, because the property's split into 2 places, it just is, okay? Context, I'm giving you the bare minimum. The other place didn't have a corral for the longest time. We built one. We built it mostly out of telephone poles and sucker rod. There are steel pipes in there, and there are some real hellacious gates, which is where Dad got the practice for this one. But that whole thing's built with telephone poles. The fence redo we're about to do that ties in with this whole gate project, that also involves telephone poles. So when I say I need to go treat the posts at the other place, I basically take waste oil and dump on top of them to soak in and help them last a little bit longer. Most of them still have a fair amount of creosote left in them, but some of them, and all of them really, could just use the extra help. I don't want to go and pull them anytime soon. It was quite a project to put them in. One of these days we'll do a tour of the corral at the other place, but that was a thing. That was handy. So now these barrels we can use them for something else. And yes, we definitely need the extra storage because 2 Versatiles and a combine, that's going to be a lot of oil, and the combine at least, probably a lot of hydraulic fluid. The combine's not a spring project though, that's a summer project. So, all right, another thing that we have to mess with is this corral here at the home place. Now this corral, maybe I should do a video comparing both corrals. I tried to do one the other day. It didn't turn out very well. The wind came up and it was a whole thing. So this corral was built with that Forney welder I just showed you, if you can believe it. They had a cord made and oh yeah, it was a whole thing. The Forney did all the welding out here. It's done a lot. But the problem with this corral is that it's not built right. And you might look at it and you say, well, what's wrong with it, Owen? Well, the way it flows is wrong. And if you don't know what I mean, it's because you've never run cattle through a corral. And I'm not saying that to be rude, but if you've ever run cattle through a corral, there's a certain way the cattle should flow to where you should be able to sort them off and separate them and keep them separate. And there should be a minimum number of times you have to move certain animals to get them sorted off. This corral it's just wrong. And I'm not going to go into it now because, again, third take at this video, my voice is getting tired. I don't want to go into it. It'd make it way too long. I don't want to do that. It's already going to be long enough. But it's just wrong, okay? It looks like it would be okay, and if it had functioning gates and the fences weren't torn up and it was welded solid, which is the second problem. The first problem is it's not built right. The second problem is that as part of it not being built right, it's not welded solid. It needs to be welded solid. Too many animals have stuck their heads through. This stuff flexes. The posts are too small. There's not enough concrete around them. There's not enough bracing. It's just not robust enough. And it's been put through the ringer. All right, it needs to be beefed up, but it's just wrong. It doesn't flow right. Everything's backwards. Nothing makes any sense. It's just wrong. All right. So we need to fix that. Now, we're not going to be changing the layout of it much just because that's too much time and we don't have the time for that. But like these gates are going to get replaced. I'm pretty sure all the sucker rod out here is 3/4. Might be 5/8. We'll find an end, a male end somewhere. Usually it's scribed on there what size it is. I'm pretty sure this is all 3/4. And this is an original style hinge. This is dumb. The problem with sucker rod, it's great for a lot of things. It absolutely is. But when you get it over a certain length, depending on the diameter, it doesn't work very well. It flexes too much. Making gates out of sucker rod, not a good idea. Probably seemed like it at the time. It's probably a good idea at the time. But, okay, look at this. No, your gates should not do that. Your gates should not flop around like that. Your gates have to be solid. Your fences have to be solid. Oh, here we have some male ends. Size is this? 3/4. 3/4 sucker rod. So the sucker rod diameter is fine, but this is getting crooked, okay? That over there leans in too much. It just needs to be beefed up, and that's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be pretty boring, and I try not to film stuff unless I'm the only one out doing a thing, because with other people involved, it's usually pretty serious, and we just try and stay moving, and getting the camera out is an unnecessary distraction. So there's lots of work to be done. But the major thing that needs to be done immediately is finishing the corral, because for some reason it wasn't done. And no, they didn't run out of material. I know they didn't run out of freaking material. They just stopped. And I don't know if they were going to expand the pens this way. I don't know what was going on, but they stopped. So there used to be a hackberry tree here. I'll throw a picture up of it on screen. You've probably seen it in the background of like the Pontiac video or whatever, because I assume if you're watching this, you watch everything I put out. And Dad and I got that cut down, piled up the limbs. He wanted a bunch of the logs, and so we hauled those off with a skid steer. You think I'm picking that stuff up by hand? No, that's why we bought a skid steer. And then I came out here the other day, and I got the stump trimmed down the rest of the way because we needed to be extra careful of the iron growing in the tree. There is a lot of that around here, believe it or not. I got the posts cut. We just need to get out here and weld it. We've got the sucker rod. It's 7/8, but it'll be okay. Need to get that done. Redo the concrete, weld a bunch of stuff solid. Dad's got a whole plan for uprights and bracing and everything to make this stronger. And then we'll just kind of make it work the best that we can. I like I said, I'm not going to go into detail because it's just too much. But it's just wrong, okay? So another thing associated, this lean-to is going to come off. This was dumb. Okay, for a lot of reasons. Again, not going to get into it, make the video too long. I don't want to do that. The lot that is out that way past stuff, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I don't know. That needs to be redone. There's junk to pick up. Another gate that needs to be taken down and just never used again. This is ridiculous. It's not... I don't know what was going on here. This is one of those things where you might say, okay, well, was it nice when it was new? Maybe. This was supposed to be for feeding cattle underneath. This isn't even 100 foot. Well, okay, it's 96 foot. But effectively, it's not even 100 foot. I don't understand what's going on. Yet another example of, well, it ran fine, but it had some problems, so we parked it. Another good example of that. I think that's a 52. It's a 52 GMC truck. I think it's a 1-ton. Like a 3500. Pretty sure. But anyway. There's plenty of stuff around here that needs to be redone. Obviously, I started taking the lean-to apart a couple years ago, and then I got busy with other stuff, and I never got back to it. So that's where all this tin came from. But we need to do, like, this hackberry tree needs to come out because it's rotted. I don't know if you can tell it from this distance on camera. It's not in good shape. A pretty big limb, like right there, you might be able to see that. It broke off in a windstorm, fell on the tank. It's not strong enough. It just needs to be cut down. Anyway, we need to do stuff in here and change some fences and move some things around. We're not going to be doing as much tearing out of like this as we are adding on to it and just doing what we can. This stuff is coming out and getting moved and redone properly because this isn't very strong through here. That's why the pipe is there, because that's about the only strength it has is all that 2 3/8 pipe. And that would have been really nice to use for posts and gates, but nope, we got to have it here for strength because Angus bulls liked to fight in here. And then they tore through the fence, and it's just a production. So I've got all this stuff to do, and we have all this stuff to do. We, comrade, this is our corral. This is our farm. The stuff that I do by myself is mainly mechanicking because it's usually just a one-person job. So this isn't even starting in on mechanical projects like I said a few minutes ago. The combine, that's a late spring, early summer project. The versatile tractors they're doing pretty good. There's some little things that need to be done to them. The 875, I'm pretty sure the valve cover base gaskets leak like a sieve. I'm pretty sure that's where it's leaking. But it's really bad. I want to get them resealed. The 800 has a front main leak. And what else? Oh, the steering cylinders need to be resealed. The combine has feeder house issues with the lift cylinders. They leak. And the feeder house itself leaks. We need to fix that. It has a whole bunch of hydraulic leaks. Brakes don't work. Doesn't come out of gear. Don't want to steer. Now the rear tire's gone flat and is off the bead. So there's all that mechanical stuff to do. I got this thing to mess with, which we're probably going to go ahead and get started on. As soon as we can get lights in the shop and some better electrical, we're going to get this thing in there, get it apart, get started on it. I really wish I didn't have to fix this. I'd rather just pull the motor and scrap the tractor. I hate this thing so much. But we'll get it fixed. We'll fix it right. We'll make it work. We'll make it work as good as it can, being what it is. So, yep, and there's just all sorts of other little things. I mean, we've accomplished a lot. We have the irons sorted and stacked and piled. We're on the cusp of getting the shop the rest of the way cleaned out and getting some lights and stuff in it where somebody could burn midnight oil if they really wanted to. You know, it's getting a lot better. And we're not as behind this year as we have been in previous years. But still, it's a lot to deal with. So that's just kind of what we've been up to and what's going to be going on and things like that. And that's really all I have to report right now. There's all kinds of other stuff. I just don't want to go into it. I think it deserves its own video, maybe later. So as for content going forward, I've got some little ideas, some kind of silly little ideas for videos that is basically just filler, just something I can make and put out, and I need to do some of those. Nobody watches them, but it's a video I can put out to say that I did. And if I put out 10 of them and one of them takes off, well, guess what? I get the ad revenue because I get that now. YouTube actually pays me to do this, which is awesome. And you guys watching means that I get paid, which is awesome. And I like that. I like money. It's useful for things. So, yeah, I'm going to probably get some of those put together and I'll crank them out occasionally if I don't have anything better to do. But there's cool stuff coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to film it. And I don't know. There's the cat. You want to say hi to everybody? Do you? Hey. Nope. Mark it. Nope. Okay. So anyway, with all that being said, I'll get off of here. I think I've covered everything. I think I've been coherent enough in this take that I can go ahead and upload it. And you guys can watch it, but my voice is getting tired. You know, somebody likes to talk a lot. And 3 takes, and they're all about this long. Yeah, that kind of wears on you after a while. That's why I don't give speeches. But anyway, for those of you that made it to the end of this, I appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping by. I will be out with something interesting as soon as I can. But the 875 Versatile, that brake conversion project, was really the last major project I've got for quite a while. So I'd appreciate it if you'd struggle with me through some other stuff, and we might get to something more interesting later, maybe. But, you know, you don't have to watch everything I put out. That's fine. It's free country. So anyway, I'll get off of here. Powerstroke Panther and I thank you for stopping by, and we will see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.